Look at the image on your screen very closely and tell me what you see. Because what appears to be a chaotic cluster of distant galaxies or a snapshot of the cosmic web is actually something far more intimate yet equally vast. That shimmering network of light and shadow is not a photograph of the deep universe taken by the James Webb Space Telescope, but rather a high-resolution scan of a single human neuron connecting to its neighbors within the synaptic void. This visual symmetry between the largest structures in the cosmos and the microscopic architecture of your mind is not a mere coincidence of geometry. It is the starting point for a journey into the most complex machine in the known universe. Welcome to MindSpark Science, where today we are deconstructing the profound implications of cosmic neural mapping and why the way you perceive the stars is fundamentally linked to how your brain wires itself for survival. When we look into deep space, we are essentially looking into a mirror of our own cognitive complexity. The universe at its largest scale is organized into a cosmic web of dark matter and gas filaments that look hauntingly identical to the neural pathways of the cerebellum. This structural isomorphism suggests that the laws of information processing and energy distribution might be universal constants regardless of scale. But the real question that keeps neuroscientists and physicists awake at night is not just why they look alike, but how your brain, a 3-pound mass of biological tissue, is capable of even conceptualizing the infinite. To understand this, we must dive into the mechanics of neuroplasticity and the quantum nature of thought. Your brain is not a hardwired circuit board. It is a fluid, adaptive energy grid that is constantly rewriting its own code, based on every photon you absorb and every emotion you process. When you feel overwhelmed by the scale of the universe or the pressures of your daily life, your brain undergoes a process known as synaptic pruning and dendritic branching. It is trying to optimize its energy consumption because the brain, which accounts for only 2% of your body mass, consumes over 20% of its metabolic energy. Every thought you have is a bioelectrical signal traveling at speeds up to 270 miles per hour. And when these signals encounter a new complex idea, they create a literal physical change in your anatomy. This is the essence of being alive, the ability of matter to organize itself into a form that can contemplate its own existence. But here is where the science takes a twist that most people miss. We often view our mental fatigue or our moments of existential dread as failures of our system, as if we are breaking down under the weight of too much information. However, from a neurobiological perspective, this is actually your brain's sophisticated defense mechanism in action. When you stare at an image of the deep field and feel a sense of insignificance, that is your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex negotiating your place in the hierarchy of reality. Your brain is a prediction engine. It spends its entire existence locked in a dark, silent skull trying to guess what is happening outside based on limited sensory data. It creates a simulation of reality that you call the world. When the scale of that world suddenly expands, like when we see images of galaxies billions of light years away, the simulation glitches. We call this awe. Awe is the brain's way of saying that its current model of reality is insufficient, and it must expand to accommodate new data. This expansion is painful and exhausting, which is why we often feel small, but it is also the only way we grow. Think of your consciousness as a quantum observer. In the realm of quantum mechanics, the act of observation collapses the wave function, turning a sea of probabilities into a single reality. Your brain does something similar with your life. Out of the infinite possibilities of who you could be, your focus and your attention collapse those options into your lived experience. You are the architect of your own neural landscape. If you view yourself as a stagnant entity, you are ignoring the biological fact that your brain is a dynamic theater of constant transformation. Every time you learn a new concept or challenge a long-held belief, you are sparking a supernova of activity in your cortex. You are literally building new bridges across the internal abyss. The image from space that raised serious questions didn't just ask about the origin of the stars. It asked about the origin of the observer. If the universe is a neural network and the brain is a microcosmos, then the line between self and other begins to blur. You are not a spectator watching the universe. You are a localized point where the universe has become self-aware. This realization changes everything. It means your stress is not a weakness, but a signal that you are recalibrating. It means your curiosity is not a hobby, but a fundamental drive of the cosmic fabric seeking to understand itself through you. We must move past the idea that we are separate from the systems we study. Whether it is the firing of a synapse or the collision of two black holes, the underlying mathematics of entropy and information remains the same. Your mind is a spark in the dark, but it is a spark that contains the blueprint for everything else. As we move forward into an era where we can map the brain, with the same precision that we map the sky, we are discovering that the frontier is no longer out there, but in here. The serious questions raised by space are ultimately questions about the capacity of human consciousness to endure, to adapt, and to transcend its biological limits. Consider the fractal nature of our existence, where every subsystem mirrors the macrosystem in an infinite loop of biological feedback. When we analyze the sheer density of the human brain with its 86 billion neurons and 100 trillion synapses, we begin to realize that we are carrying a galaxy within our skulls. Each synaptic firing is like a star-going supernova in terms of information transfer density. The biochemical signals glutamate, GABA, dopamine are the gravity that holds this mental universe together. If the gravitational constant were to shift slightly, stars would not form. Similarly, if your neurotransmitter balance shifts by a fraction of a percent, your entire perception of reality collapses into depression or expands into mania. This sensitivity is not a flaw. It is the calibration of a high-precision instrument. We often talk about the void of space as if it were empty, but we know it is filled with dark energy, and dark matter providing the invisible scaffolding for everything we see. Your subconscious mind is that dark matter. It is the 90% of your mental activity that remains invisible to your conscious light, yet it dictates the trajectory of every thought you perceive. The questions raised by that space image were actually questions about the dark matter of the soul. Why does a specific arrangement of matter feel joy? Why does a specific cluster of neurons feel existential dread? This is the hard problem of consciousness. We can map the neurons and we can map the galaxies, but we cannot yet map the feeling of being the observer. This is where quantum biology enters the frame. Some theories suggest that microtubules within our neurons might be maintaining quantum coherence, allowing for a type of biological computing that transcends classical physics. If this is true, your brain is not just a computer. It is a quantum bridge between the material and the immaterial. This would explain why our intuition often outpaces our logic. Logic is a linear classical process, but intuition is a nonlinear quantum leap. When you see a pattern in the stars or a pattern in your life, before you can logically explain it, that is your brain operating at its highest quantum efficiency. We must also look at the concept of entropy. The second law of thermodynamics states that everything moves toward disorder. The universe is cooling down and spreading out. Life, however, is negentropy. It is the process of creating order out of chaos. Your brain is the ultimate negentropic engine. It takes the chaotic noise of the external world and weaves it into a coherent story. When you experience stress or trauma, your internal entropy increases. Your system becomes noisy and inefficient. Healing, then, is the act of restoring order to your neural filaments. It is about reestablishing the cosmic web within your own mind. This brings us to the neuroplasticity of hope. We used to believe the brain was fixed after childhood. But we now know that even in old age, the brain can generate new neurons in the hippocampus. You are never stuck. You are a work in progress that has been 13.8 billion years in the making. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a dying star, and every circuit in your brain was refined by millions of years of evolutionary pressure. You are the apex of cosmic engineering. The image that raised serious questions reminds us that we are not small in the way we think. We are small in physical volume, but we are infinite in conceptual capacity. The questions are the point. The quest for answers is what drives the expansion of our neural networks. When we stop asking why, our brains begin to atrophy. When we embrace the mystery, our brains begin to glow with the light of new connections. Think about the way a signal moves through a network. In a social network, information spreads through nodes. In the cosmic web, matter flows along filaments into massive clusters. In your brain, thoughts flow along axons into the hubs of your personality. If you isolate a node, it loses its purpose. This is why human connection is a biological necessity. We are social neurons in a larger planetary brain. Our collective consciousness is the next layer of this fractal. Just as a single neuron cannot understand the concept of a symphony, even though it contributes to the hearing of it, we might not be able to understand the purpose of the universe, even though we are the ones perceiving it. We are the sense organs of the cosmos. This perspective shifts the burden of existence from one of struggle to one of discovery. Your anxiety about the future is just your prefrontal cortex running simulations of potential energy states. It is not a prophecy, it is a calculation. You have the power to change the variables of that calculation by shifting your focus. By understanding the neuroscience of perception, you gain the keys to the cockpit of your own evolution. The space image didn't just show us where we are, it showed us what we are. We are a biological manifestation of the same patterns that govern the heavens. The serious questions aren't meant to be answered with a single sentence, but with a lifetime of exploration. We are the explorers of the inner and outer frontiers simultaneously. As we gaze into the telescope, we are looking through a lens made of atoms that once belonged to the stars we are viewing. It is a closed loop of self-observation. This is the ultimate wow factor. The universe created a way to look at itself, and that way is you. You are the universe's way of wondering. You are the spark in the mind of the infinite. As we conclude this deep dive, remember that your mental health and your cosmic perspective are two sides of the same coin. Treat your brain with the reverence you would show a celestial body. Feed it with curiosity, protect it from the noise of entropy, and never stop seeking the shimmering filaments of truth that connect us all. You are a biological energy grid capable of rewriting your own history through the power of perception. Never underestimate the impact of a single thought, because in the delicate web of your mind, one signal can change the entire structure of your reality. You are the universe experiencing itself in high definition. If you found this deep dive into the cosmic and neural unknown fascinating, make sure to ignite your curiosity by hitting the like button and subscribing to MindSpark Science. We are building a community of thinkers who aren't afraid to look into the void and ask what it's thinking back. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the similarity between the brain and the universe is just a coincidence, or is there a deeper code we have yet to crack? Stay curious, stay analytical, and keep sparking those connections. See you in the next exploration.